They called me at 2 a.m. My parents. Panicked, desperate. Ryan's in the hospital, we need $15,000, now. I froze. My stomach turned. But something in me didn't move. I didn't give them a word, not a cent. For over a decade, I had been the family's ATM, paying off their mistakes. Cleaning up their chaos. Sacrificing my life while they took mine for granted. And this was supposed to be the last straw. But I made a choice. A silent, calculated choice. And what happened next changed everything. If you've ever been drained, exploited, or forced to carry a weight that wasn't yours, stay with me. Watch until the end, because this story isn't about luck, it's about strategy, patience, and finally taking back your life. Hit that like button if you believe strength isn't loud. Comment below if you've ever felt trapped by family expectations. And subscribe, because you don't want to miss how I turned betrayal into the ultimate reckoning. Everyone thinks structural engineers care about concrete and steel. They don't see that we care about weight, the pressure a beam can hold before it snaps, the stress a foundation can endure before it crumbles. For over a decade, I had applied that same calculation to my own life, though the load I carried wasn't architectural, it was my family. At 32, I lived alone in a small Denver apartment, my life meticulously organized. My name was on blueprints for glass towers that scraped the sky. Contractors trusted me. Bosses called me unshakable. I built worlds that wouldn't fall, yet my own foundation had been cracking for years. Because I wasn't just the oldest daughter of the Whitmore family, I was their lifeline. From the moment I landed my first engineering job at 22, I became the one who paid tuition for Ryan, my brother, who dropped out after a single semester. The car for Chloe, my sister, chasing her social media dreams. Emergency bills, credit card debts, even the mortgages my parents couldn't manage. Over $120,000 disappeared from my account across a decade. I had no ledger, I didn't want to see the numbers. I just wired the money, swallowed my frustration, and smiled when they thanked me. I thought I was helping. I thought it was love. But over the years, each payment, each favor, became a chain, invisible but suffocating. My life became a series of sacrifices that no one acknowledged. Every weekend I spent alone, every birthday I skipped, every dream postponed, it was all in service of a family that treated me like a safety net rather than a daughter. And yet, I had my own rules. I kept my life small, precise, predictable. I didn't let anyone manipulate me in the city I had built for myself. Until that night, the night everything changed. A text arrived from my father, "Call us. It's urgent." My phone vibrated again and again, each ping a drumbeat in my chest. Something had gone terribly wrong, and I had a choice: run, pay, panic, or wait. And in that silence, I realized that for the first time, the person I needed to protect wasn't them, it was me. Something was coming, I could feel it. And when it arrived, it would break everything I had been forced to carry. Ryan Whitmore. My younger brother. 26, but still my responsibility, or at least that's how my parents treated it. The golden child, they called him. The one who could do no wrong, the one whose mistakes I was expected to fix. He wasn't charming. Not really. He was reckless, entitled, and brilliant at manipulating everyone around him. He dropped out of the college I had paid for, bounced through jobs he never kept, and spent 3 years sinking into gambling addiction. But somehow, the blame never fell on him, it always fell on me. At family dinners, my parents would brag about his potential. "Ryan just needs a little support," my father would say, eyes shining. Meanwhile, I quietly recalculated my own limits, wondering how long I could keep being their safety net. Chloe, our youngest, followed his lead, smiling at his excuses, flaunting the money I had sent, recording TikToks that mocked me. I had learned early, he thrived on my silence and compliance. Any objection from me was met with guilt, tears, or explosive anger. Every transfer I made, every debt I covered, was a stitch in the web he spun, keeping me trapped and apologetic for my own boundaries. He was clever, patient, and ruthless. And I had finally reached a point where I could see it clearly. I wasn't dealing with a brother who made mistakes. I was dealing with a predator in a suit of family love. That night, as his name flashed on my caller ID, I realized I had been waiting for the moment I could stop playing the fool. And that moment was closer than I thought. It started small, almost invisible. Ryan called me one evening, his voice shaking. "Sis, the landlord's threatening to evict me. I need $1,200 by tomorrow." I paused. My own bills were stacked neatly on my desk, overdue notices tucked in a drawer I hadn't opened. My bank account had just recovered from his last emergency. I felt that familiar tightening in my chest, the one that told me I was about to be pulled under again. I transferred the money. Of course I did. It was automatic, reflexive, like catching a falling glass before it shattered. But that night, as I watched the notification ping my phone, a seed of anger planted itself. I realized that this pattern had been repeating for over a decade. And the worst part? No one ever acknowledged my sacrifices. No a thank you that felt genuine. No gratitude, no concern for what I had given up. My parents smiled at him, hugged him, excused him. Chloe posted another video showing off the car I had bought. The injustice burned quietly in me. I felt the weight of my own life bending under theirs. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat in the silence of my apartment, counting every sacrifice, every favor, every dollar that had vanished. And I made a promise, to myself, in that quiet moment, that I wouldn't keep being invisible forever. But how do you fight a family that has always treated you like an ATM, without being the villain yourself? It wasn't a debt this time. It was a humiliation. Chloe had posted a video online, one of those carefully edited clips that made her life glitter while mine crumbled in the background. She named me, my city, my job. The caption read, "My sister refuses to help Ryan, he's dying, and she doesn't care." Within hours, the video exploded. Comments poured in, strangers calling me cruel, selfish, heartless. Friends reached out, unsure what to believe. Even colleagues at work whispered, some judging, some curious. The guilt I had carried for 10 years now twisted into shame I didn't deserve. I stared at the screen, feeling the old reflex kick in, the urge to explain, to defend, to justify. But I didn't. Not a word. Not a post. Not a message. Silence became my weapon. I muted notifications, blocked accounts, and let the storm rage without me. Inside, a quiet fire was growing. I realized how predictable they were, how eager to pull me into their chaos. Every accusation, every smear, was another thread of the trap they thought I would fall into. And that's when I made the decision, I would stop reacting. I would observe. I would wait. The question was, how long could I stay silent before they realized the storm wasn't in me, it was coming for them? The weight of everything I had carried finally pressed down in a way I couldn't ignore. That week, my bank account read a number I hadn't seen in years, barely enough to cover rent and groceries. All the money I had sent to keep my family afloat, all the sacrifices, left me with nothing. I realized the full extent of what I'd lost, not just cash, but peace, freedom, dignity. Ryan's debts, Chloe's luxuries, my parents' emergencies, they weren't family problems. They were a constant drain, and I had been the only source keeping it alive. Every gift, every loan, every transfer had bought them comfort at my expense. Even my friends started noticing. Invitations stopped coming. I'd cancel weekends, skip dinners, refuse trips, all to bail out a family that never once asked if I was okay. And now, my apartment felt smaller, my solitude heavier. I wanted to scream, to demand recognition, to strike back. But rage, I knew, was messy. It would be loud and fleeting, and they would turn it against me. I needed a plan. Patience. Precision. Strategy. And deep inside, I felt it, a cold certainty that this imbalance couldn't last forever. The moment would come when all their miscalculations, all their reliance on me, would backfire. The question was, would I wait long enough to see it happen, or would I be forced to act too soon? I stopped answering calls. I stopped checking messages. I let the world assume I was heartless, unfeeling, detached. And in that silence, I sank deeper into myself. For years, I had carried everyone else's chaos. Now, I was finally forced to face my own. Nights became long corridors of thoughts I couldn't escape. Memories of every sacrifice, every manipulation, every lie Ryan had spun replayed relentlessly. My parents' pleading voices, Chloe's smirks in social media clips, they haunted me. I realized I had been invisible to them, not because they didn't see me, but because they chose not to. I cried alone in my apartment, the walls holding the echo of a decade of frustration. I felt anger, yes, but beneath it, an exhaustion so deep it pressed on my chest. I had built towers that wouldn't fall, yet my own life had been eroded, brick by brick, by the very people I loved. And then a thought surfaced, cold and deliberate, maybe this was my moment. The collapse, the isolation, the betrayal, it wasn't just pain. It was a mirror. It showed me the path forward, the first step toward reclaiming what was mine. The question, sharp and clear, cut through the despair: could I turn their dependence on me into the leverage I had needed all along? I realized rage was useless. Screaming, pleading, even confrontation, it would only feed them, give them stories, control, power. For the first time, I understood that strength didn't need to shout. Strength could wait. Observe. Calculate. Move only when the board was set. I made a silent vow that night: I would stop being the emergency. Stop being the invisible pillar everyone leaned on. I would let them fumble in the chaos they had created, and I would respond on my own terms. Every transfer, every apology, every sacrifice, it was over. I began cataloging every mistake Ryan had made, every debt, every manipulation. I reviewed my parents' patterns, the way they excused his behavior, blamed me, leveraged guilt. Chloe's social media antics, the way she weaponized public opinion. Every detail mattered. The fire inside me shifted from anger to calculation. I didn't want revenge that burned me too, it had to be quiet, intelligent, unavoidable. Every action from now on would be deliberate. And as I sat in the dark of my apartment, watching the city lights reflect off the windows, I felt a thrill. For the first time in years, the power was no longer theirs. But the real test was coming. Could I stay patient while they believed they were still in control? Ryan didn't know I was watching. He called my parents constantly, spinning stories of danger, desperation, and debt. Chloe's videos exploded online, painting me as the villain, the cold sister refusing to help. My parents pleaded, their voices trembling with fear and guilt. To the outside world, it looked like I had lost. I was isolated, attacked, painted as heartless. Every notification felt like a hammer striking me, each comment a reminder of the control they still thought they held. The old reflex, defend, explain, rescue, pulled at me, whispering that I should react, that silence would make me weaker. But I stayed still. I let them believe they were winning. Let Ryan believe I was powerless, that I would cave. I watched the chaos swell, the mounting debts, the viral posts, the emotional blackmail, and I felt a strange calm. Victory, I realized, was an illusion. And illusions were dangerous, only if you didn't recognize them in time. The question lingered: how long would it take for them to slip, and what would I need to do when they finally did? I stopped reacting. Instead, I listened. I cataloged every lie Ryan told, every manipulation my parents used, every public smear Chloe unleashed. Patterns emerged, predictable and precise. Every plea for money, every viral post, every emotional tantrum followed a script I could anticipate. I realized how much they relied on me, not just for money, but for the story they fed the world. They had built their lives around my compliance, and they had no backup plan for when I refused to act. That dependence was a weapon, and I now held the map to its trigger. I studied their vulnerabilities quietly. Ryan's bravado faltered under legal scrutiny. Chloe's charm vanished when contracts and followers counted more than likes. My parents' authority crumbled the moment I stopped validating it. The silence became my shield. I didn't post, didn't reply, didn't explain. And with every call I ignored, every message I let go unanswered, the threads of their power tightened toward a snap they didn't see coming. I wasn't ready to strike yet. But the pieces were falling into place. And soon, the trap would be inevitable. I didn't call. I didn't send money. I didn't explain. Instead, I let them act, recording every misstep quietly in my mind. Ryan's lies piled higher with each desperate text. Chloe's posts grew louder, more frantic, trying to manipulate public opinion. My parents' panic intensified. They were the perfect puppets, and I held no strings in their eyes. Then came the first tangible shift. I contacted the bank, not to beg, not to plead, but to verify the legal standing of the house my parents claimed I was responsible for. Every document they had twisted in their favor, every emotional argument they wielded, crumbled under cold, silent scrutiny. I discovered what they had hidden for years. I was never legally liable. I didn't confront them. I didn't expose them. I simply filed the information away, a seed planted for the perfect moment. Their frantic calls continued, my silence more potent than any argument. And as I hung up that call, I felt the first surge of quiet satisfaction. The scales had shifted, though they wouldn't realize it yet. I was no longer the one trapped, I was the one in control. The question remained, when would they finally stumble, and would I wait long enough to see them fall completely? Just when the plan felt steady, a new storm appeared. Chloe posted again, this time, a live stream showing Ryan supposedly on the brink, surrounded by hospital machines, pleading for my help. Her words were sharp, calculated, she refuses to save him. Will you let him die? The comments exploded. Strangers demanded action. Some friends reached out, concerned, confused, even angry. My phone buzzed relentlessly. The old reflex, explain, justify, rescue, scratched at my mind, tempting me to break the silence. But I stayed quiet. Every lie, every exaggeration, every public manipulation was a test. I reminded myself, if I responded now, the strategy would unravel. My patience, my control, my silent leverage, they were fragile. One wrong move, and the illusion of my detachment could crumble. I took a breath, anchored myself in the truth I had meticulously documented. Ryan's emergency was entirely fabricated. The hospital scene, the looming debt, the crisis, none of it real. They were building a spectacle, but I knew the real weaknesses hidden behind it all. And in that tension, a calm resolve settled in me. The storm could rage, but it would rage into the trap I had quietly prepared. The question lingered, would Chloe's public fury force me to act prematurely, or could I let it reach the perfect breaking point? To keep the plan on track, I had to give something up. Not money, not pride, but a part of my comfort, my safety, my usual peace. I changed my phone number, blocked everyone who had tracked me online, and vanished from every social channel. Chloe's GoFundMe, her viral accusations, they would rage unchecked. I became invisible, untouchable, but exposed in silence. It hurt. Not physically, but in the way isolation always does. Friends couldn't reach me. Colleagues noticed my absence. My own apartment, once a sanctuary, felt quieter, lonelier. But the sacrifice was necessary. Any slip, any reaction, any defense could alert them to the trap forming around them. I had to let them believe they were winning while I laid the groundwork for their collapse. I reminded myself, patience is power. And power demands discomfort. Every story they spread, every accusation they made, every public pressure they applied, it fed the tension I needed. My calm would be the engine of their undoing. As I sat in the silence of my apartment, I knew the hardest part was over. I had chosen to endure, to wait, to lose small battles so the final checkmate would be perfect. The question that lingered in the quiet, could I maintain this stillness long enough for the storm to fully consume them? The night they thought I was defeated, the trap snapped. I didn't call, I didn't pay, I didn't intervene. Ryan's supposed hospital emergency escalated exactly as I had predicted. The hospital demanded a deposit, the casino claimed debts, his identity fraud surfaced. Every thread they had spun to manipulate me collided. The police arrived the next day. Fraud. Assault. illegal credit. Ryan's lies crumbled under the weight of law, and the consequences he had dodged for years now waited in stark clarity. My parents, still clinging to the illusion of my obligation, could do nothing. Chloe's viral campaign could not undo the records, the contracts, the legal reality. I watched quietly as every miscalculation they had made, every reliance on me, became their downfall. The debts they hoped I would cover became evidence of their own irresponsibility. The public spectacle, the outrage, the panic, all perfectly contained within the framework I had silently constructed. And in that stillness, I understood the truth. I hadn't sought revenge in anger or spectacle. I had let justice, patience, and observation do the work. They fell, not because I struck loudly, but because I waited, calculated, and moved only when the board was set. The question that remained, could anyone ever truly understand the power of silence? The news came slowly, like a tide washing over everything they thought untouchable. Ryan, arrested for fraud and assault, facing years behind bars. The casino marker, the identity theft, the debts, they were all documented, undeniable. My parents, blindsided, realized I had never been legally responsible. Chloe's viral accusations crumbled under scrutiny, contracts cancelled, followers vanished, and her influencer empire faltered. Strangers who had condemned me now saw the truth unfold in real time. Comments shifted from blame to disbelief. She did nothing wrong. She stayed silent and watched. I remained unseen, unreactive, letting the revelation speak louder than any defense I could have offered. Ryan's world, once protected by my endless sacrifices, collapsed while he faced legal consequences. My parents lost the house they had tried to pin on me. Chloe's public humiliation echoed in every cancelled deal, every lost follower, every mark of failed manipulation. And I watched quietly from my apartment, the city lights reflecting the calm I had earned. No words, no posts, no declarations, just the satisfaction of a plan executed perfectly. For the first time, I realized the full weight of what silence, patience, and strategy could achieve. And a quiet thought crossed my mind, the only burden I carried now was mine, and mine alone. The phone no longer rang. The notifications stopped. I wasn't haunted by calls, texts, or viral accusations. Ryan had been taken into custody, fraud reduced but 90 days mandatory in a rehabilitation center for his gambling addiction. My parents lost the house, evicted and forced to confront the consequences of a lifetime of enabling. Chloe's influencer career crumbled, contracts cancelled, followers lost, her online empire evaporated like smoke. I walked through my apartment that night, quiet and unhurried. The city hummed outside, indifferent. For the first time, I realized I was free, not just financially, but emotionally. I didn't owe anyone my sacrifice, my time, my life. I could make choices without guilt. I could build, create, and live for myself. On my birthday, I bought a small chocolate cake. Alone. No one expected it, no one celebrated it but me. And as I blew out the candle, a thought settled over me like a warm weight lifting off my shoulders. For the first time in my life, the only person I needed to carry was me. And in that moment, I smiled, not because I had defeated them, but because I had finally reclaimed myself. If this story resonated with you, hit the like button, because strength isn't always loud, and patience can be the most powerful weapon. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to fight quietly for yourself, against people who took advantage of you? And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you won't miss stories of resilience, strategy, and the moments when the powerless find their power.